This episode of SpectreSoundStudios is brought to you by DistroKid. Get your music online and out to the world. Hey everybody, it's Friday. That means it's time for SMG Viewers Comments. Hope you're gonna have an incredible weekend. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Anyway, let's get right to it.
Hey Glenn, I got a Shure SM7B for Christmas and I was wondering how I could use it to record drums. Snare, kick, toms, what's best? I have a couple of other mics, but the Shure is the best one I have in the moment. Thanks and fuck you, Glenn.
Well, congratulations on the SM7B. It's a monster mic, especially for death metal vocals. I also use it for voiceover work. If you watched my announcement video for that Tome and Drum Mix contest, I was using the SM7B. It's just fantastic overall mic. Where I've used it on drums actually is as on a hi-hat. If you watch the Year and a Half of the Life of Metallica documentary, you see they've got Lars's hat mic'd up with an SM7 of all things. I'm not sure how good it would be on snare because it's got that long basket and you can't quite get the element in too close, so you might wind up with a lot of bleed issues. Might work on a floor tom, might work as a mono room mic. You could try that possibly on a kick drum as well. Give it a shot there. But generally, I like a 57 on the snare if I don't have a set of Earthworks kicking around, that's for sure. But really, there's no hard and fast rule as to what an SM7 should be used on for a drum set. Give it a shot in a bunch of different places and see what you like. The other thing you can try is miking up a guitar cab with an SM7. It's kind of like a beefier SM57 and might give you a pretty cool result. Good luck, man. Remember, the trick to making any good recording is to experiment and see what works for you.
I love all these recording at home tutorials, but can you kick it up a few notches? I mean, what about pro level studios and recorded techniques? Big multi-channel consoles, actual outboard gear, real tube amps cranked up. No compromises because of neighbors. There are so many videos on bedroom recording gear with budget gear, I think we're all forgetting what there's the alternative to. Show us what the pros use and how they record. Home recording gear can only get you so far, which is amazing compared to 20 years ago, but some people, bass players excluded, may have bigger aspirations.
Hey, Mean Gene, thanks for asking. That's a very interesting post. The reason I do so much for home gear is because, well, that's what most of us are using. We're working out of our bedrooms and whatnot. There's a lot more guys working out of their bedrooms than there are guys working in big commercial facilities or even big private facilities like this one. That being said, if you guys want to see more on the super high-end shit, I'll be happy to show you guys. I mean, like, I can show you, I want to do a video on, miking up a grand piano. I think that'll be cool. And, just some other cool stuff we got kicking around. Like I said, we've got this big 10-channel Neve behind us. Maybe a video on that, how that works and how you can use it. That can be kind of fun, but just remember, those videos tend to appeal to a very select few and not everybody. I think most of you, correct me if I'm wrong, most of you guys are more interested, like, how can I sound like this without breaking the bank? I think that's the more important video. I don't know, you guys tell me. You saw that video I did on the Ward Beck pre. Did you like that? You want to see more like that? Let me know.
Glenn, how do you connect your monitors to your audio interface? Do you use the pre-out section of the interface or do you have a preamp?
Hey Jeremy, definitely a noob question and it sounds like you might be overthinking things a little bit. Now, the great thing about monitors these days is they're all self-powered, meaning they've got the power amps built right in. Back in the bad old NS10 days, we had to have a set of monitors and then you had a separate power amp. So how do you hook your monitors up to your sound card? It's simple. You take your sound card's main outputs, 1 and 2, and that's generally, those are line outs and those go to the line ins on your self-powered monitors and you are good to go. Just use the volume knob. Right now, I'm just using an RME Babyface back here and that's going out 1 and 2 and that's going right into a set of Genelecs and that's great. So just remember, your main outputs go to your monitors. It's good if you've got some kind of volume knob or whatnot so you don't blow your freaking ears off. So if you get yourself a set of Callies and whatnot, they're really easy to hook up. Just remember, don't overthink it. It's not that difficult.
Kind of surprised you're advocating foam behind the nut and taping strings. I expected that. Learn to play your instrument, Rand.
Well, you can be perfectly fine at playing your instrument and you can still use those tricks to get better sounds. I mean, like James Hetfield's arguably one of the greatest rhythm guitar players ever. And even he was taping off his strings on the Black album to get those wonderful harmony lines on wherever I may roam. That's where I noticed the whole tape off the strings trick, and I'm like, ooh, that's a great idea. I'm gonna try that. And yeah, it works. You know, the foam behind the nut, that's just standard practice these days. Just little things to help the guitar players get better sounds. You can be the greatest guitar player in the world. It still doesn't mean you can benefit from good advice. Hey everybody, this episode is sponsored by DistroKid, my favorite service to put music out to online retailers like iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, and Spotify, plus over 150 smaller online music retailers as well. It only costs $20 a year and you'll keep 100% of your earnings. DistroKid also has lots of cool features, including instant verification on Spotify and change your image on Apple Music and iTunes. What's more is that they've got a new feature that allows you to add credits and liner notes to stores and streaming services. You can now list musicians, contact info, social media profiles, and hundreds of other roles. They've also got the awesome Teams function, which allows you to split your earnings automatically among your bandmates so you can stop arguing about who gets what and get back to making music. And cover song licenses only cost $12 a year. I use DistroKid to put my music out, and my friends do as well. The Dread Machine project we did a while back was launched through DistroKid, and it saved us all a lot of grief. If you've got a band, you really need to check it out. Go to distrokid.com/VIP/Spectre today and grab yourself a 7% discount. Follow the link in the description below. Now back to the show.
Serious question. I used to play guitar and bass all day long when I was younger. I started getting back into it recently, but due to my job, don't have much time to practice. So the question is, how can I maximize practice time and grow when I can only play maybe an hour or two a day?
Well, I think that's a two-part answer, actually. First and foremost, prioritize practice over everything that's secondary. I mean, you don't tell me what you're doing the rest of your day. If you're playing video games, ask yourself this: do you want to get good at your instrument or do you want to get good at video games? I mean, I gave up video games to do YouTube. I used to love playing Elite Dangerous. I used to play with one of the guys from Dillinger Escape Plan. And I bumped into it and he's like, hey man, you been on Elite lately? And I'm like, no, I don't have fucking time. I'm always making videos, but I'd much rather do YouTube than be really good at video games because this is way more fun and I get to meet all you cool people at these big music events and shit. It's fucking awesome. So ask yourself this: what can you give up to practice? Because there's only 24 hours in the day. You got to ask yourself what's really important to you. The other thing is 1 or 2 hours a day to practice should be plenty. And if you're not getting something out of that, maybe take some lessons or talk to somebody who's maybe a little higher up the chain than you on your instrument and maybe get some perspective on what you should be training to get better at what you're doing.
So you can't just mix on headphones and reference your mix on different speakers to get a better picture, like the car, a stereo, etc. I know it might not be ideal and bothersome, but wouldn't it be an option at least if you're just starting out?
Sure, it's an option, but you gotta ask yourself, how much time do you have to fuck around? How precious is your time to you? I mean, like, if you've got loads of time on your hands, sure, you can mix on headphones and, you know, you can try system to system and trying to fix. I mean, like, obviously, we've all got a learning curve. We got to put the time in. So here's an idea. Stop arguing against good advice and go get a fucking set of monitors. The Kali LP6s are outstanding and won't break your bank. Yes, mixing on headphones, it might be possible, but it's definitely going to be a very, very bumpy road.
Glenn was curious if you had any opinion on Tascam products. Been using a Tascam US 1800 interface for a long time now. Gets the job done and has never given me any problems. But I know some other engineers who talk a lot of shit about Tascam, claiming they don't sound as good as some of the other names. Is there really a huge difference in interfaces? Don't they all basically do the same thing? What is your take? Thanks and fuck you, Glenn.
I think you should ignore those other engineers, really. I mean, there's certain grades of equipment. I'm like, the Tascam stuff, maybe the Focusrite Scarlett stuff are maybe kind of on the same level. The audience stuff might be a slightly higher level. And then you start getting into the higher end PC interfaces, like the RME stuff, which is just stellar. But yes, the Tascam, if it's working for you and gets the job done, then don't fuck with it, man. Because guess what? There's nothing wrong with your converters. I mean, people used to talk shit about Behringer too, but honestly, a lot of their stuff is very useful. One piece of Tascam gear I use quite a bit is the DR10X, and this is a little XLR recorder. It just snaps into a microphone with my Lewitt interviewer mic, and just snap this in place here, kick this in, and all of a sudden I've got a portable interviewing recording setup. And this thing's phenomenal. It takes a little micro SD card, Lasts forever on a battery. Sounds incredible. Can't say enough good things about it. I did stop by the Tascam booth at NAMM, and I got to check out some DSD recordings, and that's a system called Direct Stream Digital. It's 1 bit, but uses a couple of megahertz or gigahertz sampling rate or something ridiculous like that. And we got to listen to that same recording with that versus a PCM recording, and honestly, the difference was astounding. How much better Direct Stream Digital sounds in comparison to PCM. Will we ever get switched over to Direct Stream Digital? I don't know. PCM's pretty entrenched. So I'm going to say probably not, but never say never. But if you do get a chance, check out Direct Stream Digital. It's pretty damn awesome. And as far as I know, Tascam is one of the proponents of that system. And it can't come fast enough, in my opinion, because it sounds just freaking amazing.
How can we prevent radio interference?
There's a couple of things. You can do it on the hardware end. You can get some power conditioners like we've got back here from Furman. Those might work, maybe. The EBTech HumX is fantastic. It's definitely saved my ass more than once. There's also the Hum Eliminator, which you can use inline. It's pretty cool. The other thing you can do is change out your guitar's pickups if they're picking up a lot. The Fishman Fluence pickups are really great at rejecting interference. And yeah, they sound phenomenal as well. Take a look at the Isotope RX suite. I've just been messing around with this for the last couple of days, and it's got some wonderful noise suppression plugins as part of, or modules as part of the overall plugin suite. And so far, so good. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Definitely worth taking a look at. I'll be demoing that suite real soon. Like I said, I'm just kind of getting my feet wet with it and learning all the different tricks it can do. But so far, it's pretty much blown me away with what it's capable of.
You skirted around the main problem facing studios these days versus studios in the golden era. In the old days, studios used to be a business service. They'd work mainly for labels, large and small radio stations, etc. Many studios nowadays seem to concentrate on selling their services to bands, which is essentially business to consumer. That means they hit all the problems that come with dealing with consumers. Those consumers don't have to worry about their reputation, their brand image, or even their own reliability when it comes to dealing with you. And so it introduces a level of unprofessionalism that was pretty much unheard of until recently.
Au contraire, mon frere. We're in Los Angeles, and you know the stories of bands such as Motley Crue in the studio are legendary. But let's go back even further to the 60s. If you want to go just up the street to Sunset Sound, where the Doors recorded, I seem to remember a story about Jim Morrison getting blown, laying down a vocal, or throwing a television through the studio glass when they decided to turn Light My Fire into a Buick commercial. So I don't know about the whole unprofessionalism thing. I think there was plenty of unprofessionalism even back then. It's just the labels had larger budgets and could fix that shit to make it go away so it wouldn't be that big of a problem. These days, yes, the budgets are definitely not there, and the unprofessionalism is still there. It's just now it's in your face and you're gonna have to deal with all the time, and labels aren't gonna just be throwing wads of cash at you to look the other way.
I bought the Waves Archon plugin and didn't like it. I just bought the Glenfinger IR pack just to see if it would help, and wow, that made all the difference in the world. Great job on the IRs, man. With the Waves Archon with your IRs is my go-to amp sim now. Thanks.
Hey Bobby, thanks so much for writing there. Glad I could be of help. That particular IR pack took quite a while to put together, and what you're not hearing is all the years of research and me ripping my hair out trying to figure out how to make the damn thing sound good. That went into that. Anyway, yeah, glad that worked really well for the Archon. Turns out, yeah, the Archon is a beast of a plugin, and just because it came from a certain brand doesn't necessarily mean it sounds bad. Turns out a lot of people did like the sound of the Archon, even against a real amp, in that big shootout I did a couple weeks ago. It's amazing what people will say when they actually have to listen with their ears as opposed to their eyes.
A recommendation for headphones to mix on. Sony MDR7506. I got them as a present about 7 years ago, so I know they sound pretty damn well. They're clear, detailed, and I would say the amount of bass is just right. It can do punchy, but the frequency response is pretty darn flat. I haven't tried out any others though.
You're not the first person to say the Sony MDR series. I've got a set that I got about 15 years ago based on Bob Lentini's recommendation. Now, Bob Lentini was the guy who wrote Saw Studio. He was one guy, and he wrote the whole DAW in assembly language. And if you've studied any programming at all, you know how insanely difficult that is. Anyway, Bob can mix on headphones. He's just one of those guys. I grabbed the set. I didn't like them because there was no bass on them whatsoever, but maybe I should reinvestigate this and see if it is possible. So again, this is something I'm going to be chasing down over the next little while just to see if we can find a really good set of headphones that are practical to mix on, because I know a lot of you guys just are not going to budge off this headphone thing.
Question. I'm recording my guitar with humbuckers through a Radial Pro 48Di and the Scarlett 6i6 using amp sims. But when recording in front of my computer, I have a lot of noise in my recordings that kill my sustain. If I sustain a note, it dies a horrible white noise instead of silence. A noise gate doesn't help. This doesn't happen if I'm 4 meters away from my computer, but it's more complicated to record. I guess it's some electric interferences from the computer, screens, and cables. You must have that issue in your studio and equipment. Is there something I can do?
Yeah, move away from your computer. I mean, you can always, extend your keyboard out or that kind of thing. I've got the same thing at Spectre, where if I'm up on my desk or whatnot, I go to hit record, there is some noise and whatnot. You get back a couple feet away from all the electromagnetic junk, the noise becomes a lot less noticeable. It really is about finding the sweet spot in your room and just finding a workflow that's going to work for you. Again, don't be dead set on having to sit right in front of your computer. If you can experiment and move stuff around, move your computer, move your guitar, move your chair, find where the best spot in your room is to record that guitar. That and upgrade to some Fishman Fluence pickups. I can't say that enough. They're awesome and they're clean and will probably save you a shit ton of grief.
Hey Glenn, I wanted your opinion on a situation. I went to a pretty awesome recording school in 2013-14. It was a drill sergeant style learning where we crammed 2 years of learning into one non-stop year. I finished class doing really well and recorded a decent sounding EP. But during that time, I was also interning and trying to scrap my way into some recognition and burn myself out hard. Then the depression set in. I haven't really touched anything I've learned for the last 4 years. Am I too far gone to put anything I've learned to use? Or is it like riding a bike?
Fantastic question, Dylan. Well, let me tell you something. I graduated college, Media Arts at Sheridan, in the spring of 2002. And I opened my studio professionally in December 98. So you're talking more than a 6-year gap from graduation to actually going for it. I mean, I think I had my studio running in the summer of 07, just amateur-like, and I brought in some friends and tried to record a couple things, but it didn't really get going to 98. So there was a pretty serious gap between education and practical use in the real world. In my case, school was in Oakville, Ontario, and I had to go home to Windsor, where there were no fucking jobs in my field whatsoever. So I had to wait and take a manufacturing job and take that money and invest it in my own studio. And as soon as I sat down and got my first software, it was something called it was Digital Wings for Audio by a company called Metalithic Systems. I should really do a show on that at some point. Pretty interesting. But when I got that, I'm like, oh, right, solos and mutes and all this shit. And, everything just kind of started coming back. So it's never too late, man. Yeah, get up off your ass and go for it, man. You only live once. Don't spend your time, doubting yourself or, oh, what if you just went out and did it? That's what you really need to ask yourself. Fucking go for it, dude.
Hey Glenn, I was thinking about upgrading my monitors and I'm torn between getting a set of Kali LP8s and shelling out the money for a set of Atom T7s. I'm a college student working in a bedroom and it's pretty treated and I want to make a good investment, especially upgrading for my pair of M-Audio BX5s. Thanks again.
I don't think you're gonna go wrong with either, to be honest with you. I love the Atoms and I love the Kalis. It all depends on what your budget can take. If possible, try and get both sets into a room and listen and see what you like. Just remember, go for the one that's honest, not the one that sounds quote unquote the best. You're gonna want the monitor that reveals all the flaws in a recording to tell you exactly what's going on so you can fix those flaws. That's what monitors are all about. Anyway, man, good luck. Hope you find what you're after.
Might be a noob question as I'm extremely new to guitar sounds and all that, but I have a Behringer UM-C22 audio interface and I use Reaper, I use Emissary Amp Sim and Lapue Cab and some Fredman IR, yet my tone sounds extremely horrid. I'm trying to learn how to EQ, but it is the only solution or I'm missing something perhaps.
It's not the EQ, it's pretty much where the IR is and what IR you're using. I got a free download in my links below where you can grab one of my IRs, and I know they're gonna get you a great sound. Just make sure that's the last thing in your signal chain. You're gonna want to put maybe a virtual overdrive pedal, and then the Emissary or the Lapue, then the cabinet sim. That's the trick, that's the chain. I should really do a video on this, shouldn't I? Just, a bare bones explanation of how to do this and whatnot. Yeah, I think I'm gonna add that onto the pile. Anyway, dude, good luck. Like I said, grab the IR, and because that usually winds up being one of the more critical parts of the whole signal chain. As we showed there a couple weeks ago, we did 4 different amp sims, all with the same IR, and the differences between the different amp sims were pretty minimal. The IR is really what counts. So grab mine and you should be getting some pretty damn good results. All right, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. And if you want to get your music out to the world, sign up for DistroKid. They've been sponsoring this show for the last couple of years. It's a fantastic system. I use myself, and it's just a great way to get your music out there. Anyway, thanks again for watching. If you got a cool comment or question, be sure to leave it below. If it's awesome, I'm going to put it on the show. Till next time, don't let making records make you crazy. Hey guys, if you liked the video, be sure to subscribe as I post every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. If you want to learn more about recording, check out one of my tutorials or one of my gear reviews if you want the actual honest truth about a piece of equipment.